This love is ill. I wish that it was different. Don't know what it is that made us so indifferent. We're drifting in the dark. Can we do better? Wish I could rewind back to the start. Can we do better than this? Better. You got me high and drop me low. You got that something I can seem to let go. This love is ill. I wish that it was different. Don't know what it is that made us so indifferent. We're drifting in the dark. Can we do better? Wish I could rewind back to the start. Can we do better than this? Better. You got me high, then drop me low. You got that something I can seem to let go.
Hello and welcome everyone back to another round of the Virtual Drift Championship. This is round 5, Ebisu Nishi. Of course, base track made by PermaTracks, and it is a pretty one. And what a crazy layout we have today. We're gonna jump straight on into today's insane line map. So start of the course down at the bottom of your screen there. As you see the small chicane and a relatively short run up, but lead driver gets a lot of room today. It's very tight down there, and drivers need to watch out later on for tandems and not, cause collisions through that portion of the course on that initiation. But there is that line indicating how far the lead can go. But into your first decel zone, picking up throttle just at the end of that first outside zone and up the hill to clip 2, grabbing that inside clip, going to the outside for clip 3 at the top of the hill there, allowed to use that extra bit of tarmac that's been laid down past those rumble strips, and then down the hill for clip 4 into clip 5 for your next inside clip, and then a big stretch across this inside portion of the track out to clip 6, ride the wall down to clip 7, holding good angle, really adding it as you go through. You don't want to pour on too much angle through that transition going into clip 6 and then riding the wall. Again, adding it for clip 7, driving up and making a good arc past that inside clip at clip 8 out to clip 9, back down to clip 10, then 11, and your last and final transition for another wall ride at clip 12. We'll be able to see it right there on your screen. Insane layout. It's not too terribly long. It seems that way at first glance, especially with the 12 total clipping points, but still around the same time as Silverstone, if not a little bit quicker. We're jumping straight on into qualifying today. We've already got our first group of drivers loaded in, getting their last little bit of practice runs in. Just hearing the judges there calling for their last call, and it looks like it's going to be Dimitri Mitten starting us out today here at Ebisu Nishi. Layout A for us, our first layout here at Nishi, and it's a crazy one. We're going to bring down 3 cars at a time. Dimitri Mitten be up first. Seems like everyone is ready to go for our first run of qualifying. It's gonna be a one-man show for the commentary today. Yeah, my name is Craig, with you as always. Hopefully Tanner is doing well, but here's Dimitri entering in nicely, filling that first outside zone, staying smooth up the hill, grabbing the inside clip, filling that next zone. Here he comes down that hill. So sick watching him come down that hill and fill that next zone, ride the wall nicely. Dimitri Mitten putting on a heater, starting round 5 out. Down to that next inside clip. Holding really good angle, a little bit of left foot brake there. Really extending out. There he is, filling that outside zone and across that finish line. Good run for Dimitri. Wait on that first score to come through. Looks like it's gonna be a decent one here. And an 84 on the board for Dimitri Mitten, first run of the day. And we're on to Eduardo Alves. Run number 2. And leaving outside 1 early, apex in that first turn just a bit early. He does pick up that inside clip, but will be a small line deduction there as he comes down the hill smoothly. Onto that next outside zone, outside 4. Down to 5. Running a good line there. What we don't want to see is those drivers beelining that outside zone out there, and he did a good job to have a nice arc and finishing off the run strong. Eduardo Alves. Ethan Minima up next as we wait on that score to come through for Eduardo. Oh, highest score of all time, 2,922 and a half. Down to an 83. Strong run for Alves. Ethan Minima. Bring in. Filling that first outside zone, staying off the inside, driving that car, picks up maybe second hash at that inside clip, but fills the next outside zone. Nicely done down the hill. Good breath of the throttle there as he works that wall down to the next outside zone. Nice and smooth on that transition. Does lock up that front wheel there. Taking some angle out to get to that next outside zone, and nicely done there. I need to remember to get rid of that while they get to that area of the course we can all see. But Ethan Minima throwing down for his first run. And our next three, trying to keep things moving. This track is definitely going to be an interesting one once it's released publicly, but I think we have a little bit of a plan to keep things relatively organized. And John Reeves up next through that chicane. Driving off that zone a little bit, but staying off the inside, and there he goes, picking up that inside clip nicely. Doesn't quite fill that next outside zone, but fills that one down the hill, grabs the inside, and out to outside zone, forward to the wall. Nicely done there. Drivers don't need to necessarily be buried into the wall. Riding that yellow line, that's a little bit of a buffer there. Down to that inside clip. And there he goes. Dijon Reeves for his first run of the day. Scores look pretty high for it, and there it is, 90.7. So first 90 on the board, Mr. Reeves. William Holloway up next in his RX-7. New livery for him, looks great. And there he goes, filling outside one. As deep as you can possibly be. Grabbing that inside, filling that next outside zone pretty good too. William coming down the hill now. Smooth transition all the way out there. Makes a little correction to get it a little bit closer to that wall, but keeps it smooth so far. Works out there, locking up that front. Grabbing that next inside clip. Next outside zone as well. Last and final transition. Down that hill. There he goes across that finish line, William Holloway. Dally up next. First run here in the Virtual Drift Championship, coming from DCGP, going a little wide there. Driving that car down back to the inside. Flying down the hill now, grabbing that inside clip. Looking good so far for his first run. A little tight on the line there. Nice and smooth. As he continues on here. Don't want to jinx him at this point. And I keep forgetting to get rid of that box, get it out of our way. And there it goes across that finish line. Our next three come on down to that start line. We'll wait on that score to come through and where he slots in for this first group of qualifying. 92.3 on the board. Cameron Mustard following Vitaly's 92.3. Lights have turned blue and he's ready to go. Good through turn one so far here as he drives that car into the inside clip, out to that next outside zone. A smooth transition. Cameron looking dialed in here so far. Ooh, and he's going deep. Gives the car a bit of a tap along the wall. Whew. Does keep it going, but that will severely affect his score for sure. Might as well take the rest as practice either way. And there's that box again. Across the finish line. He's going home. Up next, Russell Jones. So we wait on that score for Cameron. And a solid 80 on the board. And Russell Jones returning in his GR. Bit of a stepped initiation. He's going to apex that first turn a little soon. As we see there, he grabs that first hash. Doesn't quite fill the next outside zone, but looking good down the hill here. Smooth on that transition. Maybe tentative. Yeah, could have been a little bit deeper there as he makes his way down through this next inside clip. Definitely filling that zone nicely there. Grabs that inside clip there as well. He continues on the last bit of the course. We get rid of the box. And across that finish line. A 79.2. Reese Tatterson up next, returning back in that 370. A good last round as he picks up that throttle. Bit of a correction there on that angle. He heads down the hill now. Nice transition. Works that car in the wing over the wall. Filling that next outside zone. Continuing on, bit of an angle correction again there through that inside clip. So he makes the last and final transition, box in the way, but look at him filling that outside zone all the way to the wall. And finishing the course out strong as we wait on that score. Nicely done from the first group there as we see that first 8 up on the board. And look at there, Reese taking that number 1 position with a 94.2. Dimitri back at the line. Second runs for these drivers in Group 1. Coming off that 84. Previous rounds, he might want to better that 84 as it's been into the 90s multiple times now. In order to make battles, we still have our last 16 battles coming up just after this. We'll wait to see who makes it into that as well as Dimitri on a heater here. Win that zone there. Last and final one. And nicely done from Dimitri Mitten, trying to better that 84. I think he might have just done it there. And there it is, 93.8 on the board for Dimitri Mitten's second run. So Eduardo Alves sitting on an 83. See what he can put down. Been doing a lot of practice there. He drives off that first outside zone fairly early though. And down the hill. Good transition as he works out to that wall. Nicely done there. Staying smooth on the angle and his line committed. As he makes his transition up to that outside zone there, down to the inside clip. Doing a nice job here in the later half of the course. Into that final outside zone. And there he goes. Nicely done across that finish line as Ethan Minima waits at the line. We wait on Eduardo's score. And an 87.2, so does better his score and moves up just a little bit there. Ethan Minima hitting on his 88. Nicely done for turn one as he works out to that outside zone. Nicely done down the hill so far through that inside clips. Got a lot of speed here. Nicely done on the wall as well. Outside 5. Up to 6. Good arc. As he works that car down to the inside clip. And throwing that car into this last and final outside zone. And across that finish line. Ethan really trying to better the 88. Pull our next 3 drivers in the group up to that line. 92.2 on the board for Ethan. That'll put him in 4th. But again, this just group 1. I believe we have 4 total groups, and then just a little bit shorter 5th group. As we again bring our next 3 down to the line. Dajan kick things off for his second run. 90.7 we see on the board there. I think he's got it in him to do a bit better than that. Let's see if he can throw it down here. Look at there, filling outside 1. Up the hill. Nicely done on that whole entire first turn. Smooth transition out the outside 4. Working it out a little bit deeper for that wall. Next outside zone. Nicely done as well. Picking up that inside clip. Good arc out there. By Jean. Again, trying to better the 90.7 all the way out there for the last and final zone and across that finish line. That's going to be close. And look at there, 94 on the board. That'll put him just after Reese Tatterson. William Holloway sitting on his 90.7. That is deep as you can be. We saw a little puff of smoke there, but really didn't upset his car at all, like he actually fell off. Maybe we'll ignore that a little bit as he continues on. Nicely done from William Holloway down to the next outside zone. Good line there, picking up that inside clip. Last and final transition. Could have been, oh, I say that. That's going to hurt the score, but still 90.7 on the board for William Holloway. I imagine that'll carry him on into at least the last 16, but we'll have to wait and see. It's been a bit crazy this year if you've been tuning along. Vitaly, second run here in the Virtual Drift Championship. And coming from DCGP and immediately joining in, getting a car ready to go. Nicely done on the transition and outside 4 along the wall there, down to 5. He comes up. Doesn't quite get the inside clip, but a good arc out to that next outside zone. Grabs that one. He works his way down to the last and final turn there. And across the finish line. 92.3 already on the board for him. and a 91.8. So it doesn't better his score, but still. 92.3, a strong score to have for your first round of competition. Cameron Mustard up next, sitting on an 80. So we watch these scores go up. Nicely done for that first outside zone. Looks like about first hash for that inside clip as he comes down that hill, filling that zone, grabbing the inside clip. And I thought he was going into the wall, but he held on to it. Leaves that zone quite early there. Yeah, that's going to put him on a tight line out to that one. Now he's got to really work to get that car to drive down to the inside clip. Doesn't quite fill all of that outside zone. Last and final one here, down the hill and across that finish line. Will that be enough to better the 80? I think so. And there it is, 83.2 on the board. Russell Jones, ready to go. Through the chicane, 79.2 on the board for Russell. We'll definitely want to better that as he looks better here through turn one already. Working out to that outside zone at the top of the hill. Here he comes back down it. A little late on the transition. And that's going to put him just a hair wide on the inside clip. But, oh, and he's going to give the wall a tap, a big correction there from him. As he almost has to completely reinitiate as he continues on now, though. A little bit wide for the inside clip. Last and final one here. And there he goes, across the finish line. Russell Jones trying to better at the 79.2. Yeah, it's going to fall short, 68.8 from that contact with the wall. Unfortunate to see from Russell Jones. Here we go. Reese Tatterson, 94.2, currently sitting number one. Much better from him through turn one here as he transitions down the hill, grabs that inside clip. Really committed there through four, down to outside five, all the way out to that edge. Small pressure, really pouring on the angle there. And last and final zone along that wall, Reese Tatterson. Will that be enough to better the 94.2 currently on the board? And there it is, 93.3 on the board. So it does fall just a little bit shy, but sitting 90 again with the 94.2 in first position after group one of qualifying. We're loading in group two. They'll take a few practice runs here and there. We'll run through them. Reese Tatterson, first position. Dijon Reeves, second with a 94, and Dimitri Mitten with a 93.8. Bunch of 90s already, all the way down to sixth position with William Holloway getting his 90.7 on the board. And Zach, yeah, absolutely, we are going to release this out, put it on one of our public servers. We'll honestly probably put it on server 2 and try and moderate it as best as we can. But it hasn't been all that bad at all as we watch them go through. Two pairs can quite easily fit on the course together without bothering each other too bad. And then if you're waiting on the line, you can basically go once that second pair reaches outside zone 4. So the first wall there, then the next pair can go, and you typically won't have any collisions as we see the drivers doing a little bit extra, and it's working. Look like our own Globetrotters out there drifting. Oh, as we see Steven into the wall pretty hard there. think that was Steven. Yes, Craig is commentating solo this round. We hope all is well with Tanner. So if we all want to ping Tanner and blame Tanner, no, I'm kidding. All is well. I'll try and stay as energized as I can today, as we've got Olivier coming to the line for his first run. All right, kicking things off, Group 2. Snappy initiation. He fills outside zone 1 though, drives that car in for that inside clip, looks to get that first hash, filling that next outside zone. Nicely done over the crest and down the hill from Olivier here, filling all of that zone. Committed to the line there. Leaves 5 just a little bit early. It's gonna, well, corrects it. Keeping things going. Filling that next outside zone. Last and final one here. All the way out there to the wall, and there he goes across the finish lines. Olivier Blias with a strong first run of the day. 92.3 on the board. That might be his best qualifying score of the season this year. Kevin Stump initiating in. Drives off that first zone just a little bit early, but stays on a pretty good line for turn 1. Doesn't quite fill that zone at the top of the hill. Nicely done over the crest and down it. Making a small little correction there as we see some stuff rain down from the sky. Not sure what that was about, CSP, but Kevin Stump continues on. I'm going to get rid of the box early as he makes that transition all the way out there. Could have been maybe a little bit deeper at the beginning of that zone, but I tell you, it is a tough one to do. And filling all of that zone from the start to the finish. So we'll wait on that score to come in. It's Victor Lacheris at the line. 89 for Kevin Stump. Victor. And choosing not quite the correct skin, but it's all there for the most part as he makes that transition down the hill. Bunch of angle as he continues on. Does have to use quite a bit of left foot brake. So we see some sand rain from the sky again, making that transition. A little bit of clutch work, getting that car down to that inside clip. Last and final transition there. All the way out there. Nicely done from Victor as he crosses that finish line. And an 89.8 on the board for Victor. So we bring Austin Zalewski down. Andriev and Mustafa Amadeh are our next 3. And lights are on. Austin through the chicane now. Turning back in the 370. Staying in this chassis all season long. As he works up the hill, filling that zone at the top of it. Nicely done. Super committed through the run here is Austin. Filling that next outside zone 5. And a good arc out to outside zone 6. Driving that car right on down for the inside clip there. Last and final one. Laying on that throttle and across that finish line. So it could have been maybe a little bit deeper on that last and final outside zone. Other than that, really committed through the run was Austin Zalewski. Has some good speed to it as well, and look at there, score reflects 93 on the board. That puts him in 4th position here in Group 2. Daniel Andreev really throwing that car in. I'm not sure I've seen a snappier initiation than what we just saw there. Daniel transitioning down the hill now, grabbing that inside clip. Another snappy transition. He works out to that first wall there, grabbing that outside zone. Really snappy today on these transitions is Daniel Andreev. Comes into the last and final outside zone here, all the way out there. Burying the bumper in the wall. Daniel Andreev putting on a show for his first round of the day. Afa off for his first run. Ooh, and doesn't quite feel outside zone one. We'll see him apex that turn early, go wide, and then back to it. And just a bit offline, but he's back on it. Now locked and loaded here into outside zone 4. Nicely done, sticking to the line. Leaves 5 just a little bit. Yeah, that's going to put him offline for that inside clip. He works down to the next one now. Last and final one coming up here. And he gets all the way out there. And there he goes across that finish line, Mustafa. And an 86.8. We bring Pontus, Christian Petrov, and Brandon Patrick to the line next. And Stephen Hatcher will be in that group. Small group of 4 here at the end. Pontus ready to go at the line, returning back in the RX-7. And Pontus off for his first run here in Group 2. Filling that zone nicely. Really good line through turn 1. So he works out to that outside zone. Doesn't quite fill it, and a little bit shy on that one. Coming down the hill, grabs the inside clip, works it out to outside zone 4 along the wall. And down to 5, filling it all the way. That's going to put him on a good line here. If he can grab it, he does. Out to that next outside zone. Small little corrections there. Last and final one. And I thought he was going to give the wall a tap right there at the end. He does give it a bit of a tap, but doesn't really seem to hurt the run all too much, as Christian Petrov should be up next at the line. 84.2 for Pontus. Christian working it up the hill now. Filling that outside zone at the top of it. Outside 2. A little bit of lag there through his first transition. I hope he'll be alright. I know he was having some issues earlier as well in the practice servers. So he continues on. Driving that car down to the next inside clip. Yeah, we see a little bit more lag from him. Last and final transition. And there he goes across that finish line. Keeping it together, Christian Petrov. 83.8 on the board. And Brandon Patrick. Coming off his win here. Looking good through turn 1 so far. Driving that big car into that inside clip. Doesn't quite fill the outside zone at the top of the hill. Fills that one though as he works down the hill now. And out to that wall there, hanging the wing over it. Filling that outside zone at the bottom there. Doesn't quite get the inside clip, but makes a good arc out to the next outside zone. And there he goes, last and final transition there. Filling that outside zone all the way to that white line and across the finish line. Brandon Patrick throwing that big Ferrari around. And a 94.8 that puts him in The #1 position here in Group 2 is Steven Hatcher. Now at the line in his S2000. As he tries to blow the motor on the run-up, he doesn't quite feel outside zone, and Apex is turn 1 really soon there. He works his way down the hill now. Good transition. All the way out there to the wall, giving it a bit of a tap, but stays on the correct line there. Honestly, one of the best lines I saw through outside zone 5 so far today, but he falls short of 6. 7 as well. Last and final one here, and a bit too deep into the wall. An unfortunate one to see from Steven Hatcher there. That'll be a 0 on the board for Steven, but we've got another run to go as the drivers line back up. Olivier trying to stage a mile back. 92.3 again is what he's sitting on so far as we see those scores creep up. Olivier initiating in. Going a bit wide, trying to drive that car into the inside clip. Fills the outside zone at the top of the hill and down it. Doing good again so far. Olivier. Outside zone 5, leaving it a little soon there. Puts him on a little bit of a beeline to outside zone 6, but he fills the zone. And last and final one here, all the way up there against that wall, the white line, and across the finish line. So trying to better the 92.3. It's going to be a close one. 88.8 on the board, so triple eights. As we move along to Kevin Stump for his second run, 89 on the board. And working up the hill here, filling that inside clip. The outside zone could have been a little bit better, but that one all the way out there to that track edge as he makes his transition across the course now. Working out to that wall. Filling that zone there. And good line through that portion of the course. He just falls down into that inside clip. When you do it right, it's a good feeling. Last and final one there. There he goes across that finish line. Kevin Stump trying to better the 89. It'll be another close one. And another triple eights. 88.8. Here we go. Victor Lacheras, 89.8 on the board is what he's got so far. We're in qualifying. Nicely done down the hill here. Good transition across. Victor looks to be locked in here. He does leave that zone just a little bit early and puts him on an inside line out to that next outside zone there. We want to see him make a good arc out there to it. And look at there, filling the last and final outside zone nicely. Victor Lacheras. Bring our next 3 qualifiers down for their second runs. Well, yep, 3. Austin Zalewski, Daniel Andreev, and Mustafa. And there it is, a 94.8 on the board for Victor Lacheras. And working up the hill, trying to better the 93. He was locked in for his first run. Looks to be that way for his second run as well. Super committed there. He works down to that next outside zone. Nicely done on the line there. Works all the way out there to that outside zone, down to the inside clip. Could have been just a little bit deeper on that zone there. Nails that last and final one along that wall, and there he goes across the finish line, trying to better the 93, and he might do that. It's going to be another close one. Super committed through his runs, nice and smooth as well. Austin Zalewski dialed in for round 5. 96 on the board. That puts him in the number 1 position. That's going to be a tough score to beat. Daniel Andreev, see if he's got it in him. 91.7, has super snappy transitions and that initiation there as he works up the hill now. And here he comes back down it. Nicely done on the inside clip. Goes a little bit too deep there as we see him drop a little bit of a tire. He works through outside zone 5, trying to get it into that inside clip. Small angle correction with some left foot braking there for outside zone 6. Last and final one here. All the way up. It looks like he left it just a little bit, but worked it back out to the outside. Daniel Andreev trying to better the 91.7. Drivers really going after it here in their second runs. And an 89.5. Some falling shy, but still a strong score on the board. Mustafa, 86.8. Works up the hill now, filling that outside zone at the top of it. We're done coming down the hill now. It could have been deeper there. Poured on the angle maybe a little bit too soon. Yeah, that's going to put him offline here for this section of the course. Down here in this figure 8. And there he goes, finishing out his second run. We'll bring our next 4 qualifiers down as we wait on that score for Mustafa. And an 85.7, so falling just a little shy of the 86.8. Got Pontus Jakobsen coming to the line for his second run. Pontus really throwing that car in. Doesn't quite feel outside zone 1, but I think with the speed, he still sort of ended up on the correct line he should be. We don't want to see the drivers apexing that turn 1 too soon. And nicely done for outside zone 4 and that wall ride 5 as well as he comes up for the next inside clip. Working that throttle is Pontus down to that inside clip. Last and final one here coming up all the way out there. And there he goes across the finish line. Pontus trying to better the 84.2, and I think he did just that with that run. We'll have to wait and see how strong of a score he's going to have on that board. And an 89.7. Moving up just a little bit there. Christian Petrov, 83.8 on the board. On his way up the hill now, filling that zone at the top of it. Comes back down it. Nice and smooth is Christian. Looks to have his connection a bit sorted as well as he works through outside zone 5. Coming up for the inside clip. Making a good arc out to 6 and down to the next inside clip. Last and final zone coming up here. And there he goes across that finish line. Much better from Christian Petrov on his second run. Here's Brandon Patrick for his second run, 94.8. What he's got on the board here. As he works that Ferrari up the hill. Could have been a little bit deeper at the top of the hill though. So we see him sort of cut himself off for that crest. But nicely done along that first wall. fill in that next outside zone. Locked in here in the second half of the course is Brandon Patrick. Last and final one coming up here. Hanging that wing over the wall, leaves it just a little bit back out to it and across the finish line. 94.8 is what he already had on the board. We'll have to wait and see if that's going to be enough to better it. It'll be a close one. 96.2 on the board for Brandon Patrick. Steven Hatcher working up the hill in the little S2000. Here he comes back down it. Nicely done for the inside clip. Ooh, it could have been a little bit deeper at 4 there and the wall. He works down for 5 on a good line here. Back up to the inside clip. Out to that outside zone. Last and final transition and outside zone. No, doesn't quite get out there. Makes that transition maybe a little bit soon, but he is going to get some points on the board after starting things off, unfortunately, with that 0. Bring our board up. 83.8 on the board. There it is. So I believe that is it. Now there should be a couple of more scores there. See if we can get them up on the screen. There they are. So we'll run through some of the scores we've got so far. Brandon Patrick sitting number 1, 96.2 on the board. Austin Zalewski with a 96 on the board, looking locked in on this course. And Victor Lacheris with a 94.8, rounding out our current top 3. So we'll take a short break, restart the server for our next couple of groups of qualifying. All right, we do apologize for the wait there, but we are back again with some more qualifying here. Round 5, Ebisu Nishi, Group 3 loading in now, getting a little bit of practice runs. We see the semaphore make his way on down to the start line. Strong group ahead of us as well for this Group 3. Austin Meeks, Augusto Ferreira, Brandon Gardner, Zach O'Sullivan, Nico Stella, Lizanne Masal, Kawane Ebanks, Ernestes, Oliver Eppinger, and Daniel Mora. But Brandon Patrick still sitting at number 1, 96.2. Austin Zaleski with his 96. Victor Locheris with his 94.8 on the board. Really strong runs here today as we see all the way down into 8th position, 92.3 on the board. We'll go to our next, all the way down to top 16 so far after, again, just 2 groups. Ethan Minimo sitting 9th with his 92.2, and then Mustafa Ali 16th with an 86.8. We still have our last 16 battles coming up just after this on the same live stream here for qualifying. Those drivers will battle it out for the last 4 positions in the top 32. All right, that's the last call from those judges. We'll bring down our first 3 drivers. So Austin Meeks, Augusto Cadena, and Brandon Gardner make their way down to the start gate here. We can hopefully keep things moving along. Austin Meeks ready at the line. Returning back in that F-22. Really just a public F-22, but with the B-58. Austin Meeks through the chicane and off for his first run of the day. And picking up throttle. Working up the hill nicely here. Smooth, but completely misses the zone at the top of the hill. Looking nice down the hill, but he's going to go wide for that inside clip. Works it out to outside zone 4, but falls shy once more. A little bit too far inside on the inside clip as well. So he works his way through the remainder of this course. Last and final transition and outside zone. And nicely done across the finish line, Austin Meeks. A 77 on the board for Austin. He's got another run to improve. Augusto off for his first run of the day. Here in Group 3 of qualifying. Round 5, Ebisu Nishi. Just one more round to go after this one. Penultimate round here at Nishi is Augusto. Works his way down the hill now. Grabbing that inside clip. Working his way down a little hill to outside zone 5. Out to the inside clip. Talking with Augusto is still trying to get comfortable in this car. He's looking all right here. Oh no, as I say that, gives the wall a tap. Across that finish line. He'll have some points on the board there, though, I believe. Rough tap on the wall, though. 73.7. He's got a second run to improve. Brandon Gardner. Initiating in. Nicely done. He works up the hill now. Nice and tight to the inside clip, filling the outside zone at the top of the hill, working back down it now, grabbing that inside clip. Nice on the transition, but goes really deep. Has to use that throttle to stay off the wall. He works down to the next inside clip. Got some final transition coming up here. And all the way out there to that white line. That's what we want to see. And across the finish line, Brandon Gardner for his first run as he gives Austin a little tap there. 91.7 for Brandon Gardner. So we bring our next 3 drivers down. Zach, Nico, and Lazam. Strong group of drivers coming on down to the line. Nico joining us for his first time. Zach, currently sitting number 1 in the championship right now during round 5. I believe he could seal the deal here in this round as well. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out today. Zach O'Sullivan initiating in, filling that outside zone nicely as he works up the hill, grabbing that inside clip. Looking dialed in so far as he works that car around the inside clip. The transition. Nice and smooth on the line around there. Outside 5 into 6 all the way out there. Really drives that car down. That inside clip. Last and final one here, all the way out there to the wall and across that finish line. Zach O'Sullivan for his first run of the day. We can see what that score is gonna be. Brandon Patrick still sitting number 1 with a 96.2. Not anymore, as I say that. 97.8 on the board for Zach O'Sullivan. We move on to Nico for his first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship, coming from DCGP and looking good there for outside zone 1 as he works up the hill. All the way out there for outside zone 2. And down the hill, a lot of left foot brake to get that car around. And filling outside zone 5. Up to the next inside clip. Or left foot break. Into outside zone 6. And here he goes. Clip 11. Last and final transition and wall. Looks like he might have bounced off of it just a little bit, but kept it going. Nico showing out for his first run here in the Virtual Drift Championship. And there it is, strong score, 91.2. Lazam off for his first run here in Group 3. Drivers looking to be dialed in on that initiation. A little tentative on the throttle. Had to give it a little extra clutch kick there coming up the hill. Nicely done. Back down it though. Smooth on the transition. Using that momentum. Work it out to that wall. It's a little bit farther past the outside zone. You kind of have to, glide your way out there and control your angle. And he did a nice job doing so. He's doing a good job here in the later half of the course. Last and final turn and outside zone. Wall ride across the finish line. Look at there, 92.8 on the board for Lazam. Another strong score that puts him in 8th position here in Group 3. They still have their second runs to go as well. And then just 2 more groups after this. Group 4 will be a full group, and then Group 5 a little bit smaller. Kawain at the line for his first run of the day, and off through that small chicane. Was barely able to fit it there. Gotta build it around the big giant Ferrari. But he makes it through. Kawain looking good here. Coming down the hill. Nice and smooth, but he's gonna drive off just a little bit. Locked into the line though. Committed to it. So he makes that transition in the middle of the course there, up to the next outside zone. Back down to the inside clip. This one's a tricky one here to get all of it. Comes up just a little bit shy. And then down into the last and final zone. Could have been a little bit deeper. And across the finish line is Kawain Ebanks. Turning back in that GTR. And a 90.2 for Kawain. Hernandez up next. Light is on and he's through the chicane. Good initiation, filling outside zone 1 in a good line up the hill here, filling the zone at the top of it. And here he goes down it, nice and smooth through that inside clip. Real snappy, really pours on the angle a little bit too much. Has to make a small correction to really work that car out to that wall. Done on the inside clip as he works down to clip 11. Into 12, comes up a little bit shy and uses that left foot brake to work that car back out to the outside and finish his run. 89.2 on the board, Hernandez. We're quickly on to Oliver Eppinger, returning back in his Supra. Leaves outside zone just a little bit early there. Grabs that inside clip though. Doesn't quite make it all the way out to the zone at the top of the hill, but looking good back down it here. And really nicely done along the wall. Outside zone 5 as well. Continuing on here. Went up to the latter half of the course. Last and final transition, looking good there. Coming back down that small hill and across that finish line. Oliver Eppinger looking good once again here for his first run. Returning in that Supra, 92.5 on the board for him. Just 90s everywhere. So we move along to Daniel Mora, our last and final driver of Group 3. And their first runs. Nicely done on the first outside zone there as he works up the hill, grabbing that inside clip. A little bit deeper there on That zone at the top of the hill, outside zone 2. Nicely done on 3 though. Transitions may be a little early, but sticks it, makes it work there for outside zone 4. Down to 5. Fills it pretty nicely. They kind of beeline in that next zone though, using some left foot brake to get out to it. Last and final one coming up here. He works down that hill on the wall, and there he goes, finishing out his first run of the day, Daniel Mora. And we will work our way back around to our second runs here in Group 3. 94 on the board for Daniel Mora. That puts him in 6th position here in Group 3. Here we go. Austin sitting on a 77 with some sand on top of his car or something. I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll get it sorted on the next restart. We'll get rid of the extra pieces there as Austin works down the hill, looking a lot better here on his second run. Oh, and as I say that, comes up short for outside zone 4. Fills 5 all the way though, and starting to lag a little bit. I know he was struggling with it over the week. That's the final zone coming up. He's gonna come up a little bit shy, tap the wall, and there he goes. Across the finish line, trying to better the 77. And a 73.7 on the board. Augusto. 73.7 on the board for him as well. See if he can improve. He works up the hill now. Transition down it. Nicely done for the inside clip as well. Doing a really good job here is Augusto as he works his way into outside zone 5. Good transition across. A small angle correction there really kind of pulls out of it just a little bit. Last and final transition. Working it out to the wall, and there he goes across the finish line. Trying to better the 73.7. And I definitely think he did so there. Absolutely 93 on the board for Augusto. Brandon Gardner, 91.7 on the board for him. Initiates in. Makes his transition to come down the hill now. Throws that car at outside zone 4 and all the way out there to that wall. Works his way through outside zone 5. I like the line that he's on there. He's going to make a good arc out to outside zone 6, but really come off the throttle there as he tries to get it back down to that inside clip. Last and final zone here. And there he goes. 91.7 already on the board. Will that be enough? 91.8. So stays in the same position. 15th. Yeah, 15th with a 91.8 drivers. Rolling down today here at round 5. Ebisu Nishi. Zach O'Sullivan, current championship leader. 97.8 on the board, sitting number 1. Said he's either going to hit the wall or do some cool stuff. So he works his way up the hill now. Filling that outside zone at the top of it. Good transition as he slides down the hill there. Trying to work it all the way out there to that wall. Locked into the throttle here. Good transition across. A little bit of left foot brake there. Continues on. Filling that zone. Last and final transition here. All the way out there to the wall. And there he goes across the finish line. Well, he didn't hit the wall. And there he goes. Will that be enough to better the 97.8? No, he doesn't. 97.7 on the board. Falling just 0.1 shy. Nico up for his second run of the day. 91.2 is what he's currently sitting on the board as he works up the hill now. All the way out there to that zone at the top. Here he comes back down it. Seems to be a little bit more locked in. A lot of left foot brake all the way through the wall there. Down into outside zone 5. Continuing on a good line here as Nico last and final transition here all the way out to the rumble. And filling that last outside zone. There he goes across that finish line. Nico trying to better the 91.2. He might have just done that. A little bit more committed to the run there. And yeah, absolutely. 93.3 on the board. Here we go. Lazam. We need 2.8 is what we see on that board there as he works up the hill now. A little bit tentative on that throttle. I hear him locked in and working their way up the hill as he makes his transition here. Filling outside zone 4. Committed to his line. Down to 5. Like the line so far. Through the inside clip. All the way out there to that zone. It should just naturally flow like that down to the next inside clip. Last and final turn coming up. Could have been a little bit deeper at the beginning. And there he goes across that finish line. And we'll bring our next and last 4 drivers to the line as we wait on that score for Lazam. And a 92.7. So another driver falling just 1 shy there with our averaging system. And all of our judges are scoring 0 to 100, and then their scores get averaged. That average between those 3 will end up being the driver's score. Kawain 90.2 on the board as he throws that GTR in, works up the hill now. Filling that outside zone. Nicely done down the hill. Dialed in now as Kawain definitely goes deeper there. If I remember correctly, nicely done on outside 5 as well, grabbing that inside clip all the way out there. Again, should just fall into that inside clip, back out to the outside zone. We got last and final transition. Could have been a little bit deeper there at the beginning. Again, I completely understand, so a bit intimidating, really throwing your car into that last and final outside zone with that wall. And a 93.3 on the board for Kawain. So we've got our Nestas at the line, waiting, ready to go for his second run. 89.2 is what he currently has on that scoreboard. You see those scores just work their way up. Nestas enters in, grabbing that inside clip. Nicely done at the top of the hill as well. The transition across this time. Really poured it on in his first run. Kind of threw him offline just a little bit. Much nicer here in run 2. Last and final transition and outside zone along the wall. And there he goes. Finishing out his second run. 89.2 is what he's trying to better. I think he did just that. Absolutely 94 on the board. Oliver back in the Supra, 92.5 he already has on the board. Does apex turn 1 maybe a little bit too soon. Doesn't quite fill the zone at the top of the hill. He works back down it, punts that inside clip just a little bit offline, but he's back on it now for that first wall ride. Nicely done there too, filling outside zone 5. That'll put him on a good line for this section right here. Back down to the inside clip. Little bit of wavering here and there. Good last transition. Whoa, and really went after it there. Going into that last and final turn, but that is probably all right. 92.5 is what he already has on that board, and he'll stay right there. 14th position is what he's currently sitting at. Daniel Mora, 94 on the board. He enters in, filling outside zone 1 nicely as he works up the hill here. Would have been a little bit deeper on outside zone 2. Fills all of outside zone 3 as he continues on here. Good transition across, nice and smooth. A lot of left foot brake though to hold it at that wall. And the transition makes a small correction though at outside zone 6. Works it down to the next inside clip though. Big transition across all the way out there to that wall. And there it goes across that finish line. Already sitting on the 94. See if that's going to be an 87.8 on the board for him. We'll work through our qualifying list so far. Zach O'Sullivan 97.8 on the board for him. Brandon Patrick 96.2. Austin Zalewski with his 96. Victor Lacheris with his 94.8. Reese Tatterson 94.2. Daishan Reeves, Ernestes, and Daniel Mora all with their 94s on the board. And from 9th through 16th, look at there, some more 90s on the board. Dimitri Mitten 93.8 all the way down to Olivier with his 92.3. Here's 17th through 24. Still some 90s there as well. Ethan Minima 92.2 on the board. The 90s stop with William Holloway right now in 20th position is 90.7. And Eduardo Alves rounding out the top 24 with an 87.2. Let's see if we can get that refreshed there. There we go. Mustafa 25th, 86.8. And Austin Meeks rounding it off in that 29th position with a 77. Over 50 drivers joining us today. So just enough to still have our last 16 qualifying battles. Again, just right after our normal form of qualifying. Oh, look at there. It does look like I have a Tanner with me. Tanner?
Hello, Craig. How's
You're
it going
not
this morning?
dead.
I'm not. No, I promise I'm not dead.
That's good. I'm happy for you.
Yeah, I'm happy I'm here. That is for sure. It has been a crazy week for me getting everything prepared for the summer season. It has been absolutely insane, as in about a week, my schedule absolutely explodes. I think I have like 12 events just in May alone. So I'm happy, though, that I've made it now for Group 4 and 5 coming up.
Yeah, dude, you're here now, and Ethan Pikachu is at the line. You know what, Tanner? I actually heard Ethan speak for the first time today.
Oh,
Right, Ethan speaks, and here he is for his first run of qualifying, round 5, as he works his way up the hill and all the way, filling that outside zone, sliding back down the hill nicely. Good transition across, filling that outside zone all the way out there to the wall. Picking up outside zone 5. I like the line here. It's going to put him on for outside zone 6. And again, just fall right on down to that inside clip. Last and final transition here. And there he goes across that finish line.
Very good job from Ethan indeed, and he's been doing so good in qualifying here the last few rounds. A 95 on the board for Ethan, the man who speaks Pikachu. Great to see him out. Carlos Diogo up next here at round 5 of the Virtual Drift Championship, initiating in, going through outer zone 1, leaving it just a tad early, and try and get on the power up the hill, and watch the speed coming down the hill. Looking good so far though for Carlos. Makes that transition happen to the next outer zone, that little wall ride. Very good line here so far. Power fair for him for outer zone 6. Comes up through that inside clip and that second to last outer zone. Yeah, Carlos here looking pretty dialed in as well. Putting on quite a nice run.
Yeah, nicely done from Carlos. I don't know what you've missed and what you've seen, but scores are kind of going ham today. 89.2 on the board for Carlos Diogo. That should put him in an okay spot as Kazuki Fukushi is off for his first run. Initiating in. It's gonna apex turn 1, maybe a little bit too soon though. And big transition down the hill. Nicely done across there for outside zone 4 as we see some more sand rain down. Makes his transition across. And a little tentative on the throttle to get that car to drive down to that inside clip. Last and final turn coming up. Gives the wall just a little tap there, and there he goes across the finish line.
Yeah, a little tentative on throttle to get around that one inside clip, and then almost booping the wall there for the end. We thought, oh, is he gonna spin? But no, he kept it together, but only ends up with 86 for his first run. So I'm sure he'll want to improve on that. At the line now in the beautiful 240SX, Alexander Jaeger ready to go their first run of qualifying. They get off the line, initiate in before that yellow line, drive through that first inside clip, or outside zone, sorry, through the first inside clip, up towards outer zone 2. Could have been a bit deeper through outer zone 2. Drives it down the hill through that second inside clip, through outer zone 3. Looking good now. Starting to feel a bit more dialed in. Coming up to outer zone 6. Inside clip. Yeah, Alex looking pretty decent now in the second half of the course. Now that he's had a little bit of time to settle in. Could have been a bit deeper into the final outside zone off the start of it, but looks good to finish it out.
Yeah, not too shabby of a run there from Alexander Jaeger. We'll wait on that score to come in. And a 91.5 on the board. Juan off for his first run. And a big initiation there, almost dropping a tire. We saw a little puff of dirt there. He works his way up the hill. Could have been a little bit deeper on outside zone 2, but fills 3 and grabs that inside clip nicely as he works his way through 4 and that first wall ride. We see some confetti sand fall from the sky and big transition across and filling outside zone 6 nicely. Does come up a little bit shy of those inside clips. Last and final turn coming up. Down the small hill there and across the finish line for his first run.
Well, not a bad first run. Maybe some things to clean up there for the second run. Maybe get a little bit more confident into those inside clips. 88.7 there for Juan Victor de Paula Silva. Victor Alves up next. Coming up to initiation. Initiates in. Looks good through outer zone 1. Is into that inside clip all the way through outer zone 2. Up the hill, down the hill, through outer zone 3. Carrying good speed. Looking good so far now as he's coming through outer zone 4 into 5. Right along that track edge. Looking nice. The next inside clip into the next outer zone. Nice and tight to the final inside clip. Into the final wall ride for Victor Alves on throttle and hoping for some good points on the board.
Yeah, it was pretty locked in for that run. Nice and committed. was Victor Alves. We'll wait on the scores as our next 4 drivers will come down to the line. Look at that, 94.5 on the board for Victor Alves. Darius Ostraka up next as he comes on down to the line. Sashi Yoshida, Marcel Studinsky, and Gauskas all up next. Darius Ostraka to start us out here for this next 4 group of drivers. Initiates in, fills all of outside zone 1, and then works that car up the hill into the inside clip, filling that zone at the top of it as well. Nicely done on the transition as he falls down that hill, filling outside zone 4. Really right where he needs to be there. Filling 5, a little bit tentative on that throttle and that angle through 5 though. As he works his way down to that inside clip. Really going for it on the last and final turn. Has to use quite a bit of left foot brake though, but makes it work. Darius Ostraka for his first run.
Yeah, Darius, it was pretty decent there. 92.2 for Darius Ostraka. Looked really good there on that final wall. Just like you said, a little too much left foot brake that we personally like to see. But we're not the judges. Masashi Yoshida initiating in. Looking good off the initiation through outer zone 1. Climbing up the hill through outer zone 2. Filling it nicely. Now for the transition back down. Getting all of outer zone 3 and 4 to the first wall ride. Gonna make his way now to outer zone 5. Some good angle here. Nicely done through 6. Nice and tight to that inside clip as well as he comes through 7. Now for the final wall ride for Masashi Yoshida. Gets really close with it. That's a good run there from Masashi.
Yeah, it sure was. Wait on that score. Look at there, 90.8 on the board for the wagon. We move along to Marcel. First run here in the Virtual Drift Championship for him as well. The 3rd driver coming from DCGP and working up the hill, filling that outside zone at the top of it. And falling down the hill, grabbing that inside clip on a really good line. Corrects the angle just a little bit after that transition. And yay, confetti as he works his way through outside zone 5, making his transition, filling 6. Pretty locked in here is Marcel. Last and final transition. Working all the way out there to that wall. We want to see him on that white line as soon as possible. He almost does it. Marcel Studinsky.
Yeah, Marcel coming out swinging on that first run. Looking really good. Nice and dialed in. And a 93.5. That is a very respectful score for their first run ever here. Next up, off the gate is Danilius Parangakis. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation, filling all of outer zone 1 now. Power up the hill, fill all of outer zone 2. How do you do on the transition? Getting all of outer zone 3 down the hill. Set up for outer zone 4, looking good right against that wall. Pushing all the way out to 5. Thought he might have dropped a tire there, but just got away with it. Through outer zone 6 into the next inside clip. Now 7, filling it all. One last transition. Watch out for that wall. Get on throttle and bring it home across the line. Danilius finishing out the run.
Yeah, it really is a tricky one coming into that last and final outside zone. It takes every bit of your commitment. 94.2 on the board for Parangauskas. Yeah, absolutely a tricky one for that last and final outside zone. Ethan back at the line for his second run, currently sitting on the 95. It's a strong score for him. The lights are on and he is through the chicane. And for run 2 here, trying to better the 95. Looks good for outside zone 1 as he picks up that throttle when he should and works it up to that inside clip. Could have been a little bit deeper at the top of the hill as he makes his transition over the crest, falling down the hill smoothly now. Good transition across 4-4. Makes a little adjustment to get it deeper along the wall. Having to use some left foot brake there to grab 5 down to the inside clip. Maybe a little bit too far on the inside as we see him there. Now push wide for the next inside clip. Filling that outside zone last and final transition all the way out there, gives the wall a boop, and across that finish line.
Ethan trying to really go for it there on the second run, but I think that might have actually hurt him big time, and it does. A 78.8 for Ethan's second run, but he's still sitting on that 95 for his high score, so not too shabby for your 2 runs there, Ethan. Carlos Diogo sitting on an 89.2, initiates in, doesn't quite fill all of outer zone 1, but makes his way up the hill, and then it fills all of outer zone 2. Now to make that transition down the hill through that inside clip. Looks a little bit better down that section this time around. Not as close to that wall as he could have been going through outer zone 4. Dives it into 5, drops a tire as he comes through that inside clip now. Trying to get settled in with this car and this track. Pushing out to outer zone 7. Now the final one, 8. Oh, big correction there as he comes into 8, but he manages to save it and cross the finish line.
And trying to better the 89.2, but is going to fall shy. 76.3. Kazuki up for his second run. 86 currently on the board. Enters that roll in. Looking good up the hill. Much better this run, I think, as well through turn 1 as he makes that transition at the crest. Back down it. Nicely done on the transition, but really pouring on the angle. It's not going to allow him to go deep along the wall and then come up a little early for outside zone 5. Back on the correct line, I say that, but over rotates just a little bit. That last and final inside clip, and there he goes. Last and final zone across that finish line.
While Kazuki Fukushi was hoping to improve on that 86, and sadly will not, and ends up with a 69.8 for his final score for his final run. To the line next is Alexander Yagard, sitting on that 91.5, so not a bad score at all. We'll see what he can do here for run number 2. Out of the gate, down the straight, initiates in. Very snappy initiation, just flicked the car into that first outer zone. Now to try and get it up the hill, filling outer zone 2 all the way through outer zone 3 on that transition. Down the hill to outer zone 4, right up against the wall through outer zone 4. That was very nicely done. Through outer zone 5, now transitioning back around outer zone 6. Through that inside clip. Now, like I said, it's the first pack he looks a little uncomfortable with, but once he, and as I say that, he misses out on the inside there, the first part of outside, the final outside zone, but he seems to struggle there that little bit, but then he really settles in with the track.
Yeah, not too badly done there, 91.5, but his second one is going to fall short, 81.2, but still, the 91.5 still puts him in the top 32 so far, 25th position as Juan is up next in that 32nd position, so that will actually put him on into the last 16 qualifying battles unless he can improve here on this run as he falls down that hill, grabs that inside clip. Nicely done on the transition, goes just a little bit wide for the zone, but then nicely done for the wall and outside zone 5 as he comes up for that inside clip. Does miss it just a little bit, but grabs outside zone 6, the next inside clip, and here he comes prepared for the last and final turn. Much better there in the second run for him. No, and I say that and jinx him. Oh my goodness.
Victor there driving way offline. I was kind of thinking to myself when he came into that final outer zone, like he's using a lot of left foot brake there, and he drove off the line. So Victor there ending up with a 78.8 as we move over to Victor Alves now. Initiating in, sitting on a 94.5. Very beautiful first run. We'll see what happens here in the second. Dancing the car up the hill, now back down the hill into outer zone 4, right along that track edge, holding it nicely against the wall, driving towards outer zone 5. Filling outer zone 5 nicely, making that transition back around to outer zone 6, filling it all, going for that inside clip, doing decent around it. Filling the next outer zone, one last transition to go. Bull sending it into that wall ride. And the fun out there is Victor Alves.
Yeah, Victor looking as comfortable as ever this round in this season. The score does fall a little bit shy, 87.5, but still sitting with that 94.5 on the board as we bring our next 4 drivers to the line for their second runs here in Group 4. Had to look over and make sure we were in the right group. Darius is off and through the chicane. See if he can better the 92.2 he already has on the board. Currently sitting at 21st as he works up the hill, filling that zone at the top. Nice and smooth on the transition as he falls down the hill. A little bit tentative on the throttle, trying to get that car to drive in for the inside clip. Nicely done for 4 as he works down to 5. I really hate that sand falling from the sky as he makes this transition. Filling that zone, back down to the inside clip. Nicely is Darius Ostraka filling that zone as well. Last and final one coming up here. And there he goes, finishing out his second run.
Darius Ostraka, again, all these drivers on this run number 2 seems like they are just going for broke on these runs, but it works for Darius Ostraka and beating his score and getting a 95 for his second run. Very good job indeed. Sitting on a 90.8, Masashi Yoshida leaving the gate now, initiating in. Looking good off the initiation. Got to get on that power, start driving it up the hill. Fill all of outer zone 2. There you go, Yoshida. Over the transition, back down the hill. Really flying down that hill. Can he get that Beamer through outer zone 4? He does. Gives the wall just a little bit of a tap, but fills all of outer zone 5. Masashi here really going for it. Through that inside clip, through the next outer zone. One last outer zone to navigate. One last wall ride. Gets it on the wall, puts it on the wall, and finishes out that run. Very good job indeed.
Goodness. Might have to check his collider after that wall hit on the on the first wall. He was so deep. Trying to better the 90.8. Will it be enough? He does. 94.8. That'll move him way on up into 6th position. We see there on the board. Marcel, 93.5. But he's currently sitting on currently 15th. That'll lock him into the top 32 if he can hang on to it. So he works his way up the hill and now back down it, picking up that inside clip. Good transition across as he works it all the way out there to the wall, filling that next outside zone. Nicely done on the inside clip. Pretty locked in here again for Marcel. Works his way into the second to last outside zone. The last one there, nicely done. All the way up against that wall and across the finish line is Marcel.
Yeah, Marcel on a tear on that run. That was beautiful to watch, and it pays off for him as well. A 96 to finish things out for Marcel. Speaking of finishing out, our final driver here of Group 4, Danilius Parangalkis, sitting on that 94.2, initiates in right along that track edge for outer zone 1. Now he's got to drive it up the hill through outer zone 2. Looking good, transitioning down the hill, all of outer zone 3 filled. Transitions once more to set up for outer zone 4. Puts it on the wall and starts driving towards outer zone 5. Again, thought he was going to drop a tire there, but manages to save it. Looking very dialed in on these second runs. Could have been just a tad deeper there on outer zone 7, and a little bobble there coming into outer zone 8, but he makes up for it and still finishes out the run.
Yeah, not a bad way to finish it out for Group 4, 94.2 and a 92.7 for his second run. And we've got our last and final small Group 5. Marcus Luquist, Robert Kivsinski, Artem Chokov, Nick Hang, Samuel Cuddy, and Brandon Williams all joining into the server to round out round 5 traditional qualifying before we head into the last 16 qualifying battles where the drivers will battle it out for the last 4 positions in the top 32. is on the board. Top 28 drivers will be locked into that top 32. Then the next 16 drivers will battle it out for those last 4 positions, the 29th through the 32nd position. And then top 32 will be later on today. We do it all in one day. If you're just tuning in for the first time, watching the Virtual Drift Championship, I gotta say, I was super proud of myself with this static camera here, and then totally forgot about the qualifying board being in the way.
I was actually going to say, I love this static shot. It is so cool. And it is so nice to have just kind of watch everybody. This track is just wicked too, you guys. You guys nailed it with this track. It is so much fun. I was over it.
Yeah, it's one I definitely enjoy. We were doing the for the video for the 4.0 card pack is when we started playing around with the layout, and yeah, it sort of just happened, and here we are, round 5. Marcus off for his first run. Last and final qualifying group of the day. Picking up throttle, working up that hill. All the way out there to that outside zone at the top. Nicely done coming down. He's going to be a bit inside for the inside clip though. Making that transition. Going a little deep along the wall. He keeps it going. Filling outside zone 5. All the way. It puts you automatically almost on a good line there for that next turn. So he comes up to the last and final one now. And there he goes across that finish line. Nicely done from Marcus.
Alrighty. Nice to see Marcus there. Just throw it down like that. And maybe this is one of the tracks that kind of suits him a little bit. 90.8 there on the board as we move over to Robert Kavinsky in the Lexus, ready to go for the first run of qualifying. Let's see what they can throw down. Initiates in. Looks good off the initiation, filling all of outer zone 1. Driving up the hill through outer zone 2, filling it nicely. Transitions now through outer zone 3. Grabs that inside clip. Through outer zone 4. Nicely done along the wall. Adds that angle. Comes through outer zone 5. Robert here doing a good job so far. Just very settled. Not going too crazy. First run. Transitions into the wall ride. Yeah, very solid run there from Robert.
Yeah, looking to be a bit dialed in today is Robert, returning in that RCF. 95 on the board, so certainly strong, and we'll put him into the top 32. So we've got Artem Cholkov sitting at the line, I believe still currently sitting second in the championship. He initiates in. Powering up that hill now, trying to grab that inside clip and filling the zone at the top of the hill. Good transition. Nicely done on the inside clip, on a good line here, working through outside zone 4 and that wall. Filling 5 nicely as well. Good on the inside clip. And no waver in the angle whatsoever from Artem. Last and final transition coming up, really pouring it on. Almost over-rotated just a little bit there. Uses the left foot brake to continue on and complete his ride.
Wow, I was a little worried there. I thought that was it for his run. I was like, oh no! But he manages to save it, manages to keep it going. It's probably going to hurt his score a bit, and he does a little. 88.8 for his first run. He's still got a second one coming up. We wait for Nick Hang here to get to the line. The lights go on for Nick Hang's first run of qualifying. Let's watch him hang it all out there. Initiates in through outer zone 1. Climbing up the hill, pushing towards outer zone 2. Looks good there. Transitioning over the hill. Down it he comes into outer zone 4. A little tentative there going into 4. Just like a little bobble, but he manages to hang on. Through outer zone 5, making the transition now towards outer zone 6. getting that nice drive through the inside clip to set him up for inside 7 or outside 7. Now transitioning to the final wall ride. Not a bad first run there from Nick Hang.
Yeah, well done from Nick there. We'll wait and see what the score is going to be as Samuel Cuddy will be up next. 90.3 on the board for Nick. Samuel ready. Again, switching chassis to the S13 last round. There he goes for his first run here in round 5, working up the hill. All the way out there, dropping just a little bit of tires. We see that car get just a little bit upset as he makes a good transition for outside zone 4. Holds that momentum, but maybe just a little bit too much. Gives the wall a tap as he continues on, filling outside zone 5. Grabs the inside clip as well. He works it down to the next one. Last and final transition and turn coming up here. And there he goes across that finish line.
Samuel Cuddy really going for it. Just like, I'm going to lay it all out here on the line. Does hurt him a little bit, though, in 83.7, but does have another run to make up for it. And our final driver of the first set of runs, Brandon Williams, in the S15. A little weird to say. I'm used to the JZX days, but here he is in an S15, initiating it. Up the hill through outer zone 1 and inside clip 1, filling all outer zone 2 nicely. Over the hill, transitioning through outer zone 3 into that inside clip, all the way out to outside zone 4. Through outside zone 5 nicely, makes the transition through the next inside clip up to outer zone 6. Little bobble there through outer zone 6, but makes it work as he cuts into outer zone 7. Final transition into outer zone 8, holding a good line, keeping it nice up against the wall, finishing out the run.
Yeah, not bad from Brandon Williams there. As our other 3 will come back to the line, Marcus, Robert, and Artem. Marcus sitting on his 90.8. Strong run from him. Now that'll put him in that 28th position, locking him into the top 32. Marcus going for the big initiation. Little step there, but picks up throttle and drives that car to the inside clip, filling the zone at the top of the hill as well. So he works down it now. Better on that inside clip, making that transition a little bit track right, putting him just a little bit off track, but then filling that next outside zone. Picking up the inside clip, big angle there. Has to pull out of it just a little bit to get it around that inside clip. Last and final turn coming up here, all the way out there to the wall. We see the wing through it and across the finish line.
Marcus there, throwing it down for that second run. He does only end up with an 87.2, and that's probably just due to not filling all of outer zone 7 there in those few little angle corrections. But overall, great runs indeed. Robert Kavinsky now sitting on that 95, initiates in right along that track edge through outer zone 1. Starts to make his way up the hill, filling all of outer zone 2, kicking up a little bit of dirt as he comes over the hill, transitions to outer zone 3, down the hill. Now towards 4, that's too much speed. And it's going to end his run on a 0 for his second run.
Yeah, an unfortunate one there for Robert. But, I mean, still sitting on the 95. Artem Chokov ready to go with his 88.8. We'll have to double check and see if that's enough to put him on into the last 16 battles, which I think it will. Or will he be able to better his run? Put him on into that top 28. That'll lock him into the top 32. Artem filling that outside zone all the way out there to the wall. Can he get it back in for 5? He does. Filling it all the way, grabbing that inside clip. Dialed in once again here. Last and final turn. And there he is, completing the run. Will that be enough?
I definitely think it will be. That run looked way more dialed in, and it definitely is. 95.8 for Artem Cholkov's second run. So very good job indeed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that actually knocks down Marcus Lundquist out of the top 28. So he'll have to battle his way through that last 16. We'll have to double check on that, check the scores. Nick Hang has a chance here if he can better the 90.3. Here he goes for that run.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do here, initiating in. Looking good through outer zone 1, getting on the power, driving all the way out to outer zone 2. Up the hill, over the hill, through outer zone 3. Through outer zone 4, could have been a tad deeper into outer zone 4. Left some room on the table as he comes through outer zone 5. Now through outer zone 6. Drawing a good line, no angle corrections like the last one. Through 7, one more to go. Outer zone 8, the final wall ride. Holds it together. He's hoping to beat that 90.3.
Yeah, it's going to be a close one. Could have been a little bit deeper there at the beginning of the last and final outside zone. And does he fall short? 89.8. So we'll see Nick Hang probably battle it out in the last 16 qualifying battles. So we move on to Samuel Cuddy. Definitely needs to better the 83.7 he has currently on the board as he works up the hill now. Filling that zone at the top of it. Really throwing that car down the hill there. S13 working it out to outside zone 4. Really deep along the wall. And then gets right on that right line for outside zone 5. Working it up to 6 now. Filling it all the way. A little bit better here through the latter half of the course. Here comes the last and final turn. And there he goes across the finish line, trying to better that 83.7.
I think that run will do it. He seemed way more committed on that run, and it does show for him. Ending up with a 94.2 for Samuel Cuddy's final run. That'll definitely help him out as we move on to our final run here of qualifying before we move into our last 16 battles. Brandon Williams sitting on that 88.8 initiates in. Doesn't quite fill all of outer zone 1, but he still gets through it as he pushes up to outer zone 2. Now transitions through outer zone 3. Brandon carrying a lot of speed down that hill, but he makes it work on that wall ride from outer zone 4. Doesn't fill all of 5 either, leaving lots of room on the table here as he comes through outer zone 6, not going that deep into outer zone 6. That pushes him a bit wide to that inside clip, grabbing all of 7 though, and now making that final transition into outer zone 8. And we'll leave it up to the judge to decide if he's in our battles later today.
Yeah, last and final one. I think it will be enough to make it on into the last 16. It's going to be close, 88.8, 85 on the board for his second run. So we'll have to double check on all of these scores here. So we'll go back to the start there. Zach O'Sullivan hanging on to the number 1 position, 97.8. Brandon Patrick with his 96.2. Marcel with his 96 to round out the top 3. Robert rounding out the top 8 with his 95 on the board. Masashi 94.8 sitting 9th. And Ernestes rounding out the top 16 with a 94 on the board. High scores all around from these drivers on this insane course. Daniel Mora 17th with a 94. And Vitaly first run or qualifying runs, of the Virtual Drift Championship, 92.3 on the board, rounding out the top 24. And then there we go, 25 through 32. Olivier 92.3. Daniel Andreev will round out the top 28, which should get locked into that top 32. Again, we'll double check those scores. Sometimes this order with the graphic doesn't always go in the correct order, especially when we've got tying scores. And then Nick Hang rounding out the total top 32. We'll see if we can switch on over here. And we'll scroll down. there's your 33 through 37. Pontus, 89.7. Christian Petrov with an 88.8. So it does look like those 88.8s are going to make it on in. Mustafa, 40th position, 86.8. Will work all the way down to 44. Russell Jones, 79.2. Again, we'll double check everyone's scores and confirm who is going to make it into that last 16 qualifying battles bracket. We're going to take just a short break, sort that bracket out. We'll hear from our wonderful sponsors and partners, and we'll be right back with those last 16 qualifying battles. All right, and we are quickly back. This time, we're back with the last 16 qualifying battles. We'll pull some of those rules up for you. If you're just joining us for the first time. So, last 16 qualifying battles. The 29th through 44th qualifiers are seeded into the last 16 bracket. We'll take a look at that in just a second. And that bracket runs as normal, but we'll stop after that top 8. So once that top 8 is completed, we'll take those top 4 drivers and slot them into the top 32 based on their qualifying scores that they had previously. Lead car goals, as always, run as close to a 100-point qualifying run as possible. Don't compromise line, angle, or impact to get away from that chase driver. And our chase driver goals: maintain close proximity to the lead driver while mimicking the lead driver's transitions and line. Do not cause any unnecessary contact, as usual in those tandem battles. Our drivers just taking their last bit of practice runs before we send them off. Here, we'll take a look at our bracket. Alexander Yegard and Russell Jones will start things off for us. Brandon Williams and Christian Petrov, Nick Hang and Kazuki Fukushi, Pontus Jacobson, and Mustafa Amine on that left-hand side of the bracket. Should be last call from those judges. Alexander Yegard, Russell Jones will come to the line. Russell's already there waiting. And here comes Alexander Yegard.
Well, here we are after a fun and entertaining qualifying, mostly brought to you by Craig, as I joined in at the last second. We're now ready for the last 16 qualifying battles. You haven't seen these before, you are in for quite a treat, because these guys are just battling to get into the main competition later today. We're starting things out with Alexander Yegard out front. Russell Jones chasing him down, initiating in, looking good through outer zone 1. Russell Jones right there though on the door, had to back out of it just a little bit though, coming through that inside clip as they transition over the hill through outer zone 3. On a good line so far, but Russell Jones putting on that pressure to Alexander Yegard as they come through to outer zone 5. Not leaving that door there is Russell Jones. He's trying to stay as close as possible as they come through that inside clip. Only 2 more outer zones to navigate here. Alexander out front, Russell Jones on that door as they come through outer zone 8 and finish out the run.
Yeah, nice start to this last 16 battles. We'll take another look at it here on the replay. Alexander Yegard leading Russell Jones through the course. Nice initiation, but doesn't quite fill outside zone 1 and apexes that first turn a bit too soon as Alexander Yegard. But Russell doing a good job in that chase position to stay with him, not make contact, avoid it altogether is what it seems like as they work through outside zone 4. The first wall run as well, filling outside zone 5. Alexander on a much better line here through the latter half of the course. They continue on here. Flip 11, last and final transition across, all the way out there, filling that last and final zone, and there they go across that finish line.
Well, back around at the start gate, they are switched around and ready for the second half of their last 16 battle. Russell Jones now leads them out in that new GR86 with Alexander Yegard ready to chase him down. Initiating in is Russell Jones. Says the same thing there as Alexander, just kind of leaves that first zone a little early. Apex is a bit early, doesn't fill all of outer zone 2, kind of driving straight towards outer zone 3. Alexander Yegard keeping that pressure on those. He gives some room for the transition, really gets on the door though through outer zone 4 and 5. Russell Jones still trying to keep his composure out front here as they go through outer zone 6. And Alexander Yegard just trying to push him through the course as they transition into outer zone 8, the final wall ride. Alexander Yegard on the door of Russell Jones.
Yeah, really good way to start the last 16 here as we go back to the replay. Russell Jones out front. Good initiation. Does drive off that zone just a little bit early. Again, apexing that turn one a little too soon. Doesn't quite fill the zone at the top of the hill either as they work their way back down. Good transition across now, pulling a little bit of a gap, but could have been deeper on outside zone 4. Really deep to the wall, filling outside zone 5 after it as well. Good line up to 6. Maybe a little bit too deep there as he works his way down back to the inside clip. Last and final transition coming up here. We see Alexander dive in that chase position. There they go across that finish line. And we go to our judges for the first time today here in the last 16 qualifying battles. Alexander Yegard on the left, Russell Jones on the right. Winner will move on into the last 8. And there it goes. Russell Jones takes the win, and we'll see him in the next round of these qualifying battles.
Well, the next round of qualifying battles is already at the line. Brandon Williams in that S15 in the lead lane, and then in the S15 beside him is Christian Petrov, who's going to be chasing him down for the first run here. We wait patiently for those lights to go on to start the second battle. There it is, lights go on. Brandon Williams leading things out. Christian Petrov ready to chase him down. Initiating in, looking good so far. Christian Petrov really deep on the inside line there, trying to get up to that door of Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams kind of missed out on that first inside clip to come down the hill. Christian Petrov seems to be on the attack, but missing out a lot there on outer zone 4 in that chase position. He's trying to play catch up there to Brandon Williams. They come through that inside clip out to outer zone 5. Little hit there from Christian Petrov going too far inside as they come through outer zone 7. Now that final transition into outer zone 8. Christian again pushes up to try and get on that door. And we'll see how this plays out in run number 2.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. Brandon Williams leading Christian Petrov here in this last 16 battle. And a big initiation there. And we see Brandon maybe go a little bit wide. He doesn't quite get it back into the inside clip as well, while we had Christian maybe a little bit too far on the inside of the course. And some more lag from Christian Petrov in that chase position as he makes that surge into outside zone 4 in that first wall, but doing a good job not to make contact until there. A little boop there on the front bumper of Brandon Williams as they make their last and final transition into this outside zone. Could have been a little bit deeper as Brandon, but there they go across that finish line.
Back around at the start line here, Christian Petrov is in that lead lane, ready to go. Brandon Williams ready to chase him down for the second half of this run. The lights go on and off they go. Down the straight, initiating in is Christian Petrov. Brandon Williams right there with them, looking good through outer zone 1 for our lead drivers. They start to push up the hill through to outer zone 2. Brandon Williams doing a good job on his proximity here as they come over the hill and now into outer zone 4. Way far inside though as Brandon Williams into the wall goes Christian Petrov. That upsets him a little bit into outer zone 5. Very shaky from the chase driver, trying to find just the right momentum behind the lead as they come through outer zone 7 and transition to outer zone 8 now. Brandon Williams looking a little more settled now in that chase position as they finish out the run.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here on the replay. Christian Petrov up front, Brandon Williams in that chase. And I was worried that Christian's lag might get in the way, but it didn't seem to affect this run at all as we see him come back down the hill. Brandon a little bit on the inside there, but then really on the inside through that transition. But then we also see Christian get into the wall, almost have to reinitiate. I don't think he quite went fully straight, but then works up there. Brandon, we see another big correction in that chase position coming up to outside zone 6. And here's the last and final transition coming down the hill, filling the zone pretty well is Christian. And we'll go to our judges. Brandon Williams on the left, Christian Petrov on the right. Winner moves on into the last 8 qualifying battles. There we go. 1 judge, 2 judge to the left for Brandon Williams, 3 for Brandon, and we see him move on into the last 8. So the next round of our qualifying battles.
Well, good job indeed there from Brandon Williams, who will face Russell Jones just here in a little bit. But we have our next battle at the line ready to go. Nick Hang in the lead lane in the S14, being chased down by Kazuki Fukushi in that new GR Corolla. Initiating in is Nick Hang. Could have been a bit deeper through outer zone 1, but that chase of Kazuki is right there on the doors. They come through outer zone 2, up over the hill, through outer zone 3. Lots of speed carrying in outer zone 4. Kazuki uses it to try and catch back up, but makes a huge mistake and straightens out and has to reinitiate and get back into it. But sadly, that will be an incomplete there for Kazuki, as Nick Hang here just works to finish out this run as he comes through that final wall ride now. Gets pushed into the wall a bit by Kazuki, but there it is.
Yeah, he sure does. We'll take another look at it here. Nick out front in his S14. Good initiation, but definitely could have filled outside zone 1 a little bit better. Really tight to the inside clip, though, as we see Kazuki trying to apply some pressure there in that Corolla. That chase position as they make that transition across this center section of the course. And, oh, big into the wall is Kazuki, straightening out, sort of completing his run almost, but he gets right back into it and onto the door of Nick Hang up front. Nick could have been a little bit deeper there, and here we come down into the wall. Big angle correction from Kazuki in that chase, and then we see some more contact.
Well, back around at the start line. Fukushi now in the lead lane. Nick Hang ready to chase him down. Lights go on and off they go for the second half of their battle. Who will move on to the last 8 battles? Initiating in is Kazuki, good through outer zone 1. Nick Hang right there with him as they come through outer zone 2, up over the hill, and down it through outer zone 3. Nick Hang leaving a little bit of room as they come into outer zone 4. Throwing on the angle, though, was Kazuki, completely missing outer zone 5. Good job from Nick Hang to kind of see that coming as he gives him a little tap there. He's just losing too much wheel speed through that inside clip to push out to outer zone 7. Nick Hang's just going to hang back a little bit and more than likely take the win on this one.
Yeah, I think he will. We'll take another look at the replay here. Kazuki out front, initiating in, filling outside zone 1. He looks pretty good coming up the hill here, grabbing that inside clip. Pretty deep to outside zone 2. Nicely done down the hill, but really pours on the angle there. Big flick across. He looks to be hanging onto it, but they're just starting to over-rotate on him. And as you pointed out, just misses outside zone 5 completely. Gets up to 6. Gets a little bit of contact from Nick Hang in that chase position. And here they come down into the last and final turn. And there they go across that finish line. And we go to our judges here. Nick Hang on the left, Kazuki Fukushi on the right. And there they go, quickly over to the left. Nick Hang does get the win and move on.
Good job there from Nick Hang moving into that spot. Now who's going to go up against him? It's a battle of the rotaries here in the last 16. In the lead lane, Pontus Jakobsen in that FD RX-7 being chased down by the RX-8 of Mustafa Amine, but they call a restart by the looks of it. Yes.
Yeah, it sure is. I believe I heard, yeah, Pontus jumped the light pretty good.
Eager to get going, but you gotta wait for that light to be solid. So again, Pontus Jakobsen in the FD RX-7 in the lead lane, being chased down by the RX-8 of Mustafa Amine. The battle of the rotaries. Down the straight they come, initiating into outer zone 1, looking good through outer zone 1. For the lead, Mustafa starting to close up and put that pressure on him through outer zone 2, leaving almost no room for the transition at the top of the hill as they come through outer zone 3, and that inside clip in outer zone 4, right up against the wall was Pontus. Able to stay on his door is Mustafa. Maybe gave him a little tap there as they came through outer zone 5. down through 6. Mustafa keeping that proximity, keeping that pressure on as they power through outer zone 7. They make the transition into outer zone 8. A bobble there from the chase position of Mustafa, but still manages to finish out door to door.
Yeah, let's take another look at it on the replay here. Pontus out front, initiating in, filling the outside zone 1. All right, but gets onto the correct line, coming into outside zone 2 at the top of the hill. Nicely done, coming back down and really falling down, and then maybe a little bit tentative here. I think he knew he might have went a little bit too hard coming into the wall. He was a little bit tentative on the throttle to make that car drive forward, but still holding on to that line and doing a good job. Mustafa doing his best in that chase position, making that transition, big dive there, and has to back out just a little bit before crossing that finish line.
Well, back around at the start, we're ready to see who will go up against Nick Hang in the last 8 battles. Mustafa Amine or Pontus Jakobsen. They get off the light. Initiating in is our lead driver of Mustafa Amine. Pontus, though, right there with them off that initiation, wheel to wheel through outer zone 1 and inside clip. But a big, maybe straight in there from Pontus. It was hard to see in that chase position as they got lost in the smoke just a little bit as they came through outer zone 3. Now already through outer zone 4. A big correction there from the chase, hitting the lead of Mustafa as they came through outer zone 5. Trying to make up for it, they come through outer zone 5 through that inside clip, now to the power alley. Not as deep into 7, could have been the lead of Mustafa Amine as they come through outer zone 8. And all the pressure from Pontus, but what really happened there at the top of that hill?
Yeah, let's take another look here. Mustafa out front, big initiation in, really swinging that car, working up the hill here, grabbing that inside clip. Oh yeah, maybe contact. It's hard to tell, as some left foot brake was applied from both cars there at the top of the hill, but they continue on, and there we see another almost sort of grip up there from Pontus, making some contact before outside zone 5. They keep things going though, filling that next outside zone. Last and final transition into the last wall run. Nicely done from Mustafa, and there they go across that finish line, and we go to our judges here. Pontus on the left, Mustafa on the right. And there we go. So a little bit of a split decision. Ed and Matt go with Mustafa. Chris calls it one more time, but that's going to be enough to give it to Mustafa. We'll see him in the last 8 battles.
Good job from Mustafa, indeed. It was kind of a scrappy battle, so, you know, take the wins that you can get, I guess. as we let our next drivers load on in, so we can bring you more last 16 action.
Yeah, we'll take a look at our current bracket here as well, as we see Russell Jones move on, Brandon Williams move on, Nick Hang and Mustafa Amine will all battle each other in the last 8. But up next, Marcus Lundquist and Cameron Mustard, Kevin Stump and Joan Victor de Paula Silva, William Holloway and Stephen Hatcher, and Carlos Diogo and Eduardo Alves. Loading into the server now, they'll get a couple of practice runs before we send them off for their last 16 qualifying battles. There it is, last call from those judges. Finish up those practice runs. have Marcus Lundquist and Cameron Mustard coming to the line.
Now for the left side, or the right side of the last 16 battles, starting things out here, Marcus, Mr. Pink Drifter Lundquist in that beautiful S13 being chased down by the R32 of Cameron Mustard. Down the straight they come, initiating in. Looking good off the initiation for both drivers. Cameron right there with them, having to back out of it just a little bit as they come up the hill towards Outer Zone 2. Now over the hill through Outer Zone 3. Cameron trying to lay on the attack, but Marcus looking really dialed in here in this lead run. And there is Cameron making a mistake in that chase position, losing some ground, not filling all of that Outer Zone 5, but makes up for it here through the transition towards Outer Zone 6. Starts to get back up on the door of Marcus Lundquist as they come through Outer Zone 7. Now transitioning to Outer Zone 8 into that wall ride. Cameron's able to regain some of that proximity right near the end.
Yeah, let's go back on that replay here. Marcus Lundquist out front being chased down by Cameron Mustard. Marcus doing a good job out front, working his way up the hill, grabbing that inside clip, filling the next outside zone. Maybe could have been a little bit deeper, but fills that one coming down the hill. Nicely done for the inside clip as well. Look at Cameron Mustard in that chase position now, getting a little bit ahead for that wall run. As Marcus works his way through outside zone 5 nicely up to 6. A little bit of a correction there coming into it, but Cameron right there in that pocket as they work through the next outside zone. Last and final turn coming up. Marcus pulling a bit of a gap there and across that finish line.
Now back around at the start line, Cameron Mustard slots into that lead lane, ready to lead it out for the second half of this run, while Marcus Lundquist gets ready to put it on his door. As they initiate into Outer Zone 1, good through the first outside zone as they start to climb up the hill a little wide for that inside clip. It makes it work through Outer Zone 2. Marcus not making quite the impression yet as they come through Outer Zone 3. Maybe now coming into Outer Zone 4, he'll be able to really get up. Oh! And actually just drives right into the side of Cameron Mustard. I'll let the judges decide that if maybe he slowed down, maybe Cameron slowed down too much, or maybe it was just a grave mistake there from Marcus Lundquist's side as they come through Outer Zone 8 and finish out their run.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one here. We'll take another look at it on the replay. Cameron Mustard again out front here, initiating in. Nicely done for outside zone 1. Goes maybe a little bit wide there. Tries to work that car into the inside clip, but grabs the second hash. Nicely done down the hill though, along that inside clip. Good transition for outside zone 4. Comes up a little bit shy, and there we see a lot of angle from Cameron Mustard, but then a huge surge from Marcus at the same time. Again, yeah, I have to let the judges really break that one down, see what they can see, and wait on their decision here as they work their way through the last and final zone. And there they go across that finish line, and we go to our judges. Marcus Lundquist on the left, Cameron Mustard on the right. Winner will move on into the last 8. Judges probably going back on replays for that contact there along that wall. And it looks like we have a decision here. Split so far. It's up to Matt. Chris goes left. Ed and Matt both go right with Cameron Mustard. Cameron will move on into the last 8.
A hard call indeed. But Cameron Mustard moves on to that last 8 battle. Let's see our next battle coming to the line now. Kevin Stump, well, Victor to Paul Silva. Kevin Stump in that in the lead lane up against the S14 there of Joao in that chase position. They wait for the lights to go on. And there we go. Down the straight, initiating in is Kevin Stump. Looking good off the initiation, but Joao right there with him, almost on the door through outer zone 1. As he tries to fill all of outer zone 2, doesn't go as deep as he could have into outer zone 2 as they transition down the hill towards outer zone 4. Joao putting on that pressure through outer zone 4, trying to get right up on the door of Kevin Stump. They transition out to outer zone 5, a big surge there from Joao in that chase position, really just putting that pressure onto Kevin Stump as they come through outer zone 8 now. But oh, maybe some contact there from Joao, pushing Kevin Stump into the wall at the last second.
Yeah, let's take another look at it here. Kevin Stump out front being chased down by Joao Silva as they work their way up the hill. Kevin could have been a little bit tighter to the inside clip, deeper on outside zone 2, but Phil's 3 grabs that next inside clip, makes a good transition across. Could have been a little bit deeper on 4. Nicely done with the wall, down to 5 as well, up to the inside clip. Joao right there in that pocket of that all new Z as they work their way to the last and final transition here. Yeah, there is just a little bit of contact there from Silva in that chase position, being maybe a little bit too far on the inside and making contact. Front bumper to front bumper is what it looks like from the replay.
Well, we will see what happens here in the second half of this battle. Joao now in the lead position. Kevin Stump ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go. Initiating in, Joao up front, Kevin Stump chasing him down. Kind of getting lost in the smoke there was Kevin Stump as they climb up that hill through outer zone 3. Looking good so far for the lead of Joao as they come through outer zone 4. And now Kevin Stump starting to regain that proximity there in that chase position as they come through outer zone 5. Through that inside clip, outer zone 6 into 7. Kevin Stump not really making much of an impact here on this run in the chase. Joao doing pretty decent out front.
Yeah, it kind of all started upon that initiation as we go back to the replay here. Silva out front, initiating in nicely, and there we see just a huge understeer from Kevin Stump. Didn't quite get to the angle that he wanted to in that chase position, and then has to play catch up for kind of the remainder of the run here. He's starting to get back into it, coming into outside zone 4. Now he's back through outside zone 5, making that transition across the course. Is Joao out front in that S14 back to the inside clip. Could have been a little bit tighter there, but fills that one all the way, makes the last and final transition all the way to that white line and finishing out the course strong. So Kevin Stump on the left, Silva on the right. And there it is. Kevin is gonna get the win from that contact in the first half of their battle in that last and final outside zone and wall ride.
Kevin Stump moves on to face Cameron Mustard in the last 8 battles. And our next battle coming up to the line now in the FD Arc 7 in that lead lane. That is going to be William Holloway up against veteran driver Steven Hatcher in the S2000. The lights go on, and this next battle is very quickly underway. Initiating in, big initiation there from William Holloway, really tucking it in, but there's Steven Hatcher right along the door through outer zone 1 and 2 as they make that transition through outer zone 3 down the hill now. Typical Steven leaving no room for error as they come through outer zone 4 and push towards outer zone 5. A couple glove taps there from Hatcher in that chase position. William Holloway doing a good job out front there. Another tap from Steven Hatcher in that chase as they come into the final outer zone. Steven Hatcher sticking right with William Holloway all the way through it.
Yeah, he certainly was. Maybe getting a little over aggressive here and there in that chase position, but we'll take another look at it here. We see the initiation from Steven a bit on the inside there, but ends up on the correct line in the pocket of that RX-7. William Holloway out front doing a good job here, coming into outside zone 4 along the wall, working his way down to outside zone 5 on a good line here, coming up to the inside clip as well, filling the next outside zone. There we see Steven, a little bit of contact there, a little bit of pushing, last and final transition, and there we see William a little bit of shimmy shake and could have been a little bit wider at the beginning of that zone and gets into the wall a little bit there towards the end of it.
Well, now back around at the start line, Steven Hatcher in that lead position. William Holloway ready to chase him down to see who will go up into the last 8 battle to fill one of the 2 slots remaining. The lights go on and off they go. Steven Hatcher initiates in, looking good through outer zone 1. William Holloway right there with them though as they come through that inside clip and push up the hill towards outer zone 2. Now the transition over the hill, diving to that inside, that chase position, trying to keep that pressure on to Steven Hatcher as they come through outer zone 4 into outer zone 5. William Holloway giving them no breathing room through these outer zones as they come into outer zone 6. A bobble there from the lead through outer zone 6 into that inside clip. No bobbles through 7 though as they come into that final outer zone now. William Holloway on the attack in that chase position.
Yeah, we'll take another look at it here. Steven Hatcher out front in the S2000 being chased down by William Holloway, initiating in, filling the zone. All right, there is Steven working up the hill, grabbing that inside clip, filling the zone at the top of the hill as well. Nicely done coming down it. There we see William sticking with him. Nicely done through that transition as well. William right in the pocket of that S2000. Steven goes on a good line, but here we see a correction coming into outside zone 6. There he goes, just a little bit wide for the inside clip. Last and final transition across all the way out there for that outside zone and across that finish line. So it might come down to that little bit of contact there at the end of the first half of the run. Oh, it's going to be a tough one to call. William doing a good job in that chase position. Same with Steven. All right. Little bit of a split decision. We're gonna line them back up though. Chris and Matt choosing one more time between the two. Ed choosing Steven Hatcher, but 2-1. We'll line them up again.
Well, this will be good to see. William Holloway and Steven Hatcher going at it one more time. Nice to see maybe a little bit of a cleaner battle between the two. Really put that pressure on. Steven maybe not go so aggressive, but still keep that aggression. That was really nice to see. Just right up in William's face, like, hey, I'm here no matter what you do. We'll see what plays out this first run of the one more time battle here in the last 16. William Holloway back in the lead position. Steven Hatcher ready to chase him down. The lights go on and off they go for this one more time battle. down the straight. Initiating in is William Holloway. Right with them is Steven Hatcher, though, off that initiation. Right along the door, a little contact coming through that inside clip as they make their way up to outer zone 2. Now into outer zone 3, down the hill, transitioning towards outer zone 4. William Holloway looking good out here. Hatcher backing off just a little bit. Just make sure he doesn't make any more unnecessary contact as they come through that inside clip towards outer zone 6. Right along the door goes Steven Hatcher through that inside clip and outer zone 7. They make the final transition into outer zone 8. Right along the door is Steven Hatcher, but goes too aggressive and puts William Holloway in the wall.
Yeah, an unfortunate one there. We'll take another look at it. William Holloway out front, filling that first outside zone. Really nice line up the hill, filling the next outside zone at the top of it as well. Here he comes down it. Steven Hatcher right in that chase position, falls back just a little bit and then reels him in for outside zone 4 and that wall ride down to outside zone 5. Here we see Steven get mixed up just a little bit there and then works it back into the pocket, down to the inside clip. That's the final transition here, and here's where we need to pay attention. Yeah, maybe a lot of foot brake there, and there we have contact between the two. And here they are for the second half of their one more time battle, working up the hill. Steven up front now, filling that outside zone at the top of it. Big transition, falling down the hill, grabs that inside clip, makes that transition across. Could have been a little deeper. It is Steven there as well on outside zone 5. Good transition across. William right there in that chase position, in that pocket, coming down to that next inside clip. Next outside zone, last and final transition, coming down to the wall ride there. And there they go across the finish line without contact. And we'll
Very
go,
good second half of the run there.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go to our replay. Steven filling that first outside zone, working his way up the hill, grabbing that inside clip all the way out there to that outside zone. But look at there, William right on the bumper through that transition, falls back just a little bit, similar to Steven there in that section of the course, and then right back into the fight. And I think does maybe a little bit better job there through that transition to get right into the pocket, hanging on to it. Last and final one here, coming up down the hill, filling in that zone all the way through and across that finish line. So we'll go to our judges here. William on the left, Steven on the right, Chris goes left, Ed goes left, and Matt, unanimous decision. William Holloway is gonna get the win over veteran driver Steven Hatcher, and we'll see him in the last 8.
A good job indeed there from William Holloway. What a tough battle, especially up against someone like Steven Hatcher. But there's still another round to go, and I'm sure we'll see Steven Hatcher at that round as well. As we move into our final last 16 battle, Carlos Diogo in that lead position up against Eduardo Alves. The lights go on and off they go for the first half of this last 16 battle to see who will go up against William Holloway. Initiating in is Carlos out front, looking good through that initiation, but Eduardo Alves already on the attack through that first outer zone into outer zone 2. Now down the hill. Oh, that was close there for Eduardo as he had to back right out of it as he almost went into the side of Carlos. As they come through outer zone 4 into 5, he's able to regain that proximity from that chase and start to really get the pressure back on through outer zone 6. Carlos Diogo doing a great job out front here so far. Could have been a bit deeper into outer zone 7 as they transition to outer zone 8. Eduardo putting it on the door as they finish out the run.
Yeah, and giving the wall a little tap there at the end is Carlos. We'll take another look at the replay here. Nicely done on outside zone 1 from that lead, but there we see a big angle correction. He gets back into it. Eduardo in that chase position, following him nicely, but here we see a big angle up coming down the hill, barely gets around the inside clip, even if, yeah, I'm not sure he did. Eduardo doing a good job in that chase position to keep things going. It is super tough for that chase position if the lead angles up coming down that hill. We see another small angle correction from Carlos out front, and here they come down into the last and final turn, and there's that little boop along the wall.
Well, at the start line, ready for the second half of their battle. Eduardo now slots into that lead lane with Carlos ready to chase him down for this second half. The lights go on, and he will go up against William Holloway. Initiating in is Eduardo, looking good. Huge angle thrown by the chase as Carlos tries to get up on that door of Eduardo as they come through outer zone 3 and down the hill. Can't really make that impression just yet as they come through outer zone 5 or 4. Now into 5. Carlos starting to get into that proximity, starting to get onto the door there of Eduardo as they drive through that inside limit out to outer zone 7. Starting to look a bit more dialed now as they come into that final outer zone. Ooh, big hit there from the lead into the wall, but it doesn't upset him.
Yeah, another very similar wall hit to finish out the course. We'll take another look here on the replay. Eduardo Alves out front. Nicely done for that initiation. As you pointed out, we saw Carlos get a little mixed up there in that chase position, have to get back into the fight through turn 1 as they come down the hill now. Eduardo nicely done on his transition and momentum, throwing that car into outside zone 4 and along the wall. Comes up a little early on 5, which changes the line just a little bit coming into 6. Team working that car down to the inside. Last and final one here down the hill. And there, yeah, actually getting pushed along by the chase car was Eduardo, maybe making contact with that wall. So Carlos on the left, Eduardo on the right. Winner will move on into the last 8 to face William Holloway. And there we go, unanimous decision. Eduardo Alves gets the win and moves on into the last 8 to face off against William Holloway. We'll take a look at our bracket here. Russell Jones and Brandon Williams, Nick Hang and Mustafa Amine, Cameron Mustard and Kevin Stump, William Holloway and Eduardo Alves will battle it out for the last 4 positions in the top 32.
But here comes our first of the last 8 battles to the line. Russell Jones, that GR86, slots into that lead position. Right beside him is Brandon Williams, another veteran driver here in that S15. Ready to throw down to see who will take one of the 4 spots in the main competition here. The light goes on and off they go. Russell Jones initiating in, looking good off that initiation. But Brandon really taking the fight to him up the hill as they come through outer zone 2. Now making that transition through outer zone 3 down the hill. Trying to find the gap, but way too much speed. And puts Russell Jones hard into the wall. Wow, that was a huge hit. That cannot feel good with the force feedback.
That might have put him in the hospital there. We see his windshield is even completely shattered. Nice little damage model. Save that. And we'll take a look at it. Here we go. Russell Jones out front. Graphic a little bit backwards there. They work their way up the hill. A little bit of contact there in that chase position from Brandon Williams. They make their transition down the hill here. Nicely done. And there, yeah, just add a whack and then a huge dive from Brandon Williams. Able to keep things going, but my goodness, what a hit.
Yeah, just tried to regain that proximity that he thought he was losing, but just came in with so much speed. And, well, here we are for the second half. Brandon Williams now in the lead lane. Russell Jones ready to chase him down. Can he make that impression that he's looking for? Initiating in. Brandon Williams looking good. Russell Jones right there with him through outer zone 1 as they come into outer zone 2. Up the hill. Could have been a bit deeper from our lead driver there, but makes up for it as they come down into outer zone 4. Into the wall goes Brandon Williams. And then into Brandon Williams goes Russell Jones. Oh, hard judges today.
Yeah, that's a rough one there. We'll go back to the replay that we have of it. Brandon Williams, again, this time out front. Russell Jones in that chase position. Here they go through the chicane. It all seems smooth until the outside zone 4 and then the wall ride. Nicely done working up the hill. Could have been tighter to the inside clip. They go back down it. Almost a little bit of contact there in the transition, but yeah, we see Brandon get into the wall first. Yeah, does it justify the next contact that happened? It'll be up to these judges to make the call here. Russell Jones on the left, Brandon Williams on the right. I think we'll see those judges maybe slide left. We'll have to put Russell Jones through concussion protocol. And there they go. To the left, Russell Jones does get the win over Brandon Williams. And we'll see Russell Jones in the top 32 after qualifying 44th. So the last driver to make it into the last 16 battles moves on into the top 32.
That must be a good feeling for Russell Jones. We go way back, and it's good to see him going into the main competition. As we have our next set of drivers up, take the next spot here for the main competition. We got Nick Hang in the S14 in that lead position up against Mustafa Amine in that RX-8 who's slotted into the chase lane. The lights go on, and this next battle is underway. On the straight they come. Ooh, contact off the transition. They initiate in, looking good through outer zone 1 as they climb up the hill. Mustafa Amine trying to stay right on that door as they come through the transition through outer zone 3. Now into outer zone 4. Amine trying to put on that pressure. Nick Hang doing a good job out front. Right along the door through outer zone 5 is Mustafa Amine. A little too much angle being thrown there from Nick, but Mustafa makes it happen and gets back on that door. The aggression from the chase here is absolutely wild as they cross that finish line.
Yes, sure was. Let's go back to the replay here between these two. Nick Hang out front, and there we see that little bit of contact. I want to see if we can restart that replay there. Yeah, we sure can. Yeah, it looks like it was maybe on Mustafa there. It doesn't really hurt the run all too much. Mustafa able to get right on back into the pocket of that lead car from Nick Hang pretty quickly. They work their way back down the hill now. Nick on a really good lead line in that S14. Comes up off of 5 a little bit early. It's going to put him on a tight line there up to 6. Has to make a big correction there. What we want to avoid, Mustafa doing a good job in that chase position to not make contact and keep things going. There they go down the hill and across that finish line.
Well, now back around and ready for the second half of their battle to find out who takes one of the 3 spots remaining. Mustafa Amine now in the lead. Nick Hang ready to chase him down. The lights go on down the straight, initiating in through outer zone 1. Look at that, Nick Hang right there with Mustafa Amine through outer zone 1 all the way up through outer zone 2. He leaves some room for the transition as they come over the hill through outer zone 3. Now towards outer zone 4. Good angle from Mustafa Amine. Goes into the wall just a little bit there at the end, but that does not upset the chase driver of Nick Hang. Nick Hang quickly gets right back on the door. He's trying to push Amine through this course right now as they transition to the final outer zone. Right along the door is Nick Hang to Amine. Wow, what a battle.
Oh my goodness. Let's take another look at it here on the replay. Mustafa out front, good initiation, but could have filled the zone a little bit better. Gets to the inside maybe a little bit too soon. Gets out to outside zone too nicely though. But look at Nick Hang right along the bumper through that first transition, second transition as well. Reels him in for the wall ride. We see a little bump off the wall from Mustafa being a little bit too deep there. Coming up for the next inside clip. There we see Nick Hang jump back into the pocket in that chase position. Here they come, last and final turn, and here Mustafa does a really good job there filling that outside zone all the way through, and there they go across that finish line. We go to our judges. Nick Hang on the left, Mustafa on the right. Winner will move on into the top 32. Look at there, it is going to be Nick Hang moving on into the top 32 over Mustafa Amine.
Very well done from Nick Hang indeed. That chase run was absolutely beautiful. Just all the aggression in the world without making any of the mistakes. As we move on to our next last 8 battle, 2 spots remain. Next up is Kevin Stump in that all-new Z up against Cameron Mustard in that R32. The lights go on and off they go. Initiating in is Kevin Stump, not filling all of outer zone 1, but Cameron Mustard right there with them through outer zone 1 as they drive up the hill through outer zone 2, leaving that room for the transitions. Our chase, they come down the hill, and a huge straighten out of nowhere for Kevin Stump, and he shuts down the run completely. Oh no.
That's a really weird one. We'll let Cameron finish out the remainder of the run here. And we'll take a look at it on the replay. Kevin Stump out front here. Good initiation, doesn't quite fill outside zone 1. Going a little wide for inside clip as well. Here they come through the zone at the top of the hill, down the hill. Ooh, yeah, really weird. Almost looked like contact happened, but there was no contact, at least on my screen. I don't know about you, Tanner, but
no contact.
That was quite a gap.
But you're right, that's
the
what
two.
it looks like.
Yeah, really, really odd. We'll go back live and watch the second half of the run.
We sure will. We got Cameron Mustard in the lead position, and Kevin Stump ready to chase him down. Let's see what happens here. The R32 Cameron initiates in alongside the new Z there from Kevin Stump. Looking good through outer zone 1, a little wide through that inside clip. Grabs outer zone 2 nicely as they come up over the hill. This is where Kevin had that mistake the last time. Nothing happening that time around. Kevin starting to put on that aggression, starting to gain that proximity and get on the door of Cameron Mustard as they come through outer zone 5. They make that transition towards outer zone 6. Looking good. Looks like Kevin's just kind of playing it a little safe, not being too aggressive. Maybe on his screen, maybe there was contact, but on none of ours there was. They finish out the run nice and clean, and a great job there from Cameron Mustard. But definitely a weird scenario. If he's listening, we'd love to hear maybe what happened there, Kevin Stump.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. As we watch the second half of the replay, Cameron really wide on inside clip 1, nicely done down the hill in that next inside clip, and then out to outside zone 4 in that wall run, really nicely done. But here we'll see him angle up, leave outside zone 5, and then beeline to outside zone 6, which then puts him wide for that next inside clip, draws out the angle a little bit to get to that outside zone, and here they come down the last and final zone, and we'll go to our judges. Cameron Mustard on the left, Kevin Stump on the right. Judges may take their time or not. Chris, Ed, and Matt all going left. Cameron Mustard moves on, and we'll see him in the top 32.
What a turn of events here. This is why we brought in these last 16 battles. They just make the end of qualifying so entertaining now. As we move into our final spot, the final spot to get into the main competition, and it's between these two here. William Holloway in the FD RX-7 up against Eduardo Alves in that S15. The lights go on, and the last of the last 8 battles is underway. Initiating in, looking good off the initiation. Nice mimicking from the chase there through that initiation and outer zone 1 as they come through outer zone 2 now. William Holloway drives through outer zone 3. Eduardo Alves putting on that pressure through outer zone 4. They go around that wall ride. Right there in the pocket on the door is Eduardo in that chase. He's doing a great job here as they come through outer zone 5. Maybe not as deep as William wanted to be, but he still makes up for it. They make the final transition into that final outer zone, and Eduardo hasn't left that door this whole run.
No, he really didn't. We'll take another look at it on the replay. William Holloway out front in his RX-7, initiating in. Filling outside zone 1 pretty good, but he does apex that first turn a bit early. Coming back down the hill now. Eduardo in that chase position. Falls back just a little bit, but then quickly reels him back in for that wall ride after outside zone 4. Nicely done through 5 is William. Good line up to outside zone 6 as well, which just lets him fall right into that next inside clip and grab that outside zone. Last and final one here coming up, and super deep as William does drive off of it just a little bit and then gets it back out to the outside.
Well, now back around at the start line. They're ready to go for the second half of this battle. Who will it be? Will it be Eduardo Alves? Will it be William Holloway? Down the straight they come. Initiating in is Eduardo Alves, looking good on that initiation. But look at the attack from William Holloway through outer zone 1 and up the hill towards outer zone 2. Now making that transition. William Holloway giving him no breathing room. Eduardo Alves doing a great job out front here so far as they come through outer zone 4. William Holloway putting on that pressure. This is a great run between these two. You would think it's a final battle as they come through outer zone 5. William Holloway with just a good amount of proximity, trying not to let anything happen. No mistakes can be made. Staying on the door. What a run between these two.
Goodness gracious. Let's take another look at it. Eduardo out front, William giving chase, and also William switching to Sim Magic. Brand new to Sim Magic for this round and really showing out here. Look at there, right along the bumper through that transition. Falls back just a little bit, but then reels him back in. Nicely done. Down to outside zone 5. Eduardo coming up a little bit early there. Gets out to outside zone 6. Down to the inside clip. Look at William right there in that chase position though. Right along the bumper through that last transition. Here they go through the final turn and across that finish line. We go to our judges, maybe for the last time here in the last 16 qualifying battles. Winner moves on into the top 32. Will it be the 31st qualifier or the 39th? William qualifying 31st, Eduardo qualifying 39th. And there we go. We have a decision. Chris and Ed go left for William Holloway. Matt chooses a one more time, but we'll see William Holloway in the top 32. We'll take a look at that full completed bracket. Look at there. 44th, 43rd, 32nd, and 31st qualifiers will move on in to the top 32. Russell Jones, Cameron Mustard, Nick Hang, and William Holloway to round out the last 16 qualifying battles. And again, as you already pointed out, Tanner, I'm super happy that we added this to our competition format. It has been a blast.
Yeah, it brings such a whole new level to just these guys, you know, because again, our competition is so tight. We see even on crazy tracks like this, people are still 90s, 91s, 92s, 93s, 94s, and it gives those guys that chance that are like, hey, I still qualified really well. Now I'm going to battle my way in, and I'm going to make it happen. And even the guy who takes the last spot, like Russell Jones in number 44, makes it into the top competition later today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think even his score was kind of low too there in qualifying, but he battled his way through it. Got through Alexander Yeager, very respectable driver, and then Brandon Williams, a veteran. I think he's been with us since either season 2 or 3. A little bit different chassis for Brandon, but still the very talented driver indeed. Russell gets through him. Cameron Mustard as well, 43rd, getting through Marcus Lundquist, and then Kevin Stump. Kevin may be having a little bit of issues there, but good job from Cameron Mustard nonetheless. Nick Hang and William Holloway as well getting through their battles, but they've got a lot ahead of them in the top 32. Some tough battles coming up, but thank you everyone for tuning in today to qualifying. Our top 32 main event will be up next. We'll take probably maybe an hour break or so. We'll get it scheduled up on YouTube, so go get some food, get some snacks, get a drink, you know, use the restroom, whatever you need to do, and we'll be back for our main event. Big shout out to our partners and sponsors as well. Sim Magic, our title sponsor. Extreme Sim Racing joining the VDC family, and Grip Royal. Joka Design for all the track objects that we are free to use from him. Ali with the live bracket that you see from time to time up on that screen. And PermaTracks for this wonderful version and all of the wonderful tracks that he puts out. So check that out. Link is in the description. We'll release this layout after the round is over completely. But again, join us again here soon for our top 32 main event.
Mastermind, never tried. Tell them all. Big dreams, I got big dreams, just like